Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Learning Series with HR Mentorship. My name is Olugbemi, and today we have one of our highly esteemed members. She has been a member of the HR community group, mentorship group, since like forever. I can't even remember when she joined. Her name is Kehinde Olugbemi. Kehinde Olugbemi is a graduate of sociology from University of Ilorin. She also is a member of CIPM. She's a certified member. Her working career, cuts across customer service relations. She also functioned as admin and then transitioned to human resources. She was the human resource executive for about 2 years at Mokafo. Then she progressed to become the compensation and benefit manager, a role where she functioned effectively for about 5.5 months, and then she became the lead talent and HR shared services. I must confirm and confess that I've also had the privilege of knowing Kehinde Olugbemi for more than 20 years now, and I do not take the relationship for granted. We have rubbed off positively on each other professionally, spiritually, and personally. Kehinde Olugbemi also does some other things apart from HR. She runs some NGO activities, and she's always busy adding value to young ladies, young girls, and teenagers, and the like. She may want to talk a little about that if time permits. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's welcome with warmth and applause Kehinde Olugbemi as she takes over this session. Over to you, Kehinde.
All right, Yemi, thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity. And I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone who has taken time to join this section this evening. Please, you won't mind my voice because I had a very long day in church and I had to just rush back. Sundays, especially first Sunday in Redeem, it's always very busy if you walk out here and minister in the church. So don't mind my voice. I'm sure that we can manage through. So let me start by thanking Yemi Adeosun for this great initiative, the HR mentorship that Yemi started some years ago, and the opportunity that is given to every professional to bring to bear their knowledge in their HR space, and what this is doing for us all as professionals. Because when we leverage upon what we know as individuals and as professionals, we get to grow. And the more you give of what you know, the better you become at it. So, Yemi, I want to say thank you. When Yemi got across to me to mention that I was going to be sharing one of the mentorship section, I thought that it was a mistake. And I think, Yemi, I go back to you to say, do you mean this for me or somebody else? And because I knew that if I was going to be talking from my area of comfort more, it would be in the compensation and benefit space. That's total reward. That's what I did for most part of my HR career journey. But we have to move. The unknown space. You ask yourself, what's the need for me? What's next for me to do? And how do I pilot this new course that I just find myself in? And I knew that recently, then when me and Yemi spoke, it spoke to me about coming up with a topic that it feels that, okay, my area of strength and what I can conveniently, will be sharing with us. And together we came up with this topic, building an effective and efficient talent management initiative. And just a brief about myself. I started my HR career journey in a generalist function. And I think it's a very good way to start for everyone getting into HR, because you get to know a bit about everything that has to do with HR. And my current employer, Mocha Limited, gave me that opportunity to start as a generalist, where you serve as a support function, talk about even recruitment, talent management, reward, HR administration. You are just in it, you are in everything. And like I used to tell some of my colleagues, and especially the ones that are coming on, to say, you want to run away from filing, you can't do it. You just have to start from somewhere. Because I did a lot of filing work when I joined the HR team in Mocha, and that's where the journey began from. Then 4 years down the line, I remember one of my boss then, Mrs. Suzoma Okoronko, knew that I was doing a bit of contract salaries, the outsourcing salaries, and then in Mocha, the payroll row sits with finance. And then when she came on board, she said, no, it's not going to be where HR is going to take up that assignment. And it landed on my desk. Without any prior training or formal training, I took on that role and it became part of me. It became what I grew to love, and I was into it. Then last year, my boss called me. So I had a new boss, Mrs. Mifoma Okore, who joined us in 2019. And then in last year, specifically, she called me that you are going to be moving into the talent space. And I felt like, this can't be true. You must be joking, because I didn't see myself coming out of compensation and benefits. And I'd even registered my membership with What at Work in Canada. And I saw myself as, growing into that space. Then she said I was going to take up the talent assignment. I said, I told her, I said, man, I know this is really a joke. Then she told me that, no, you're going to be moving. I said, in what capacity? She said, I'm taking up the entire talent space. Then I kept mute for a while. But I knew that when opportunities are thrown at you, it's also an opportunity for you to, check on the inward. What can you do? How do you succeed on this job? And that's how that journey into talent management started. So it's what I've also learned to enjoy, because I landed on the job, with little or no, because I wasn't really, and one lesson there for me that I'll be sharing with us, to the specialist role that we enjoy doing. Let's also have an eye, in the other functions in HR. Let's put our eyes on it, so that, because you don't know where you'll find yourself. You don't know what challenge will be thrown at you at some other points in your career. This was one lesson. It came to me like something that this is a must do. I can't say no unless I want to pull out of the job. So, and I learned that lesson, some kind of, to say, while you're in your specialist role, also have an eye for other space that may not be your core. Just have an idea of what it's all about. So this evening, I'll be sharing with us, we'll be looking at an overview of the talent management today. We know that a lot has changed in the workplace. And we also think that will take us also to understanding what an effective talent management initiative is all about. Next, we'll look at what's in need for us in terms of having an efficient talent management in place in the workplace. Then we also know that we'll also be learning to work with and through the L&D budget. That's learning and development budget in the workplace. How do you work with it to ensure that you also get the things that needs to be done? So things to look out for will be the next thing we'll be talking after. And then lastly, we'll conclude this evening. Now, it's a moment for us to discuss. And I want us to, anybody in the house, please, or the participant, feel free to unmute yourself as we brainstorm on this together. So the question that comes to mind is organizational performance, is it significantly related to employee retention? What relationship does organizational performance, what does it have to do with retaining the workforce, your high flyers in the workplace, or even the least of the workforce because everybody is important in the workplace. So what role does organization performance play with employee retention? Then the second thing we'll be looking at discussing together before I take us on the next segment is talent management practices. Is it true that it does not have a positive influence on employee retention? That's a question for us to break with. Then talent management and organizational performance as a whole has no impact on employee retention. These are the school of thought that quite a number of employees or even HR professionals hold. Some believe that organizational performance is not in any way related to employee retention. Some other school of thought hold the view that talent management practices do also not have a positive influence on employee retention. So whether you train your people or not, if they will stay, they will stay. If they won't, they won't. Then thirdly, that we'll be looking at together is talent management and organization performance as a whole has no impact on employee retention. What's your view to this? Please, if you have, we are open to unmute ourselves and let's discuss this together. What do you think?
So who would like to contribute? Just raise up your hand. We will enable you to speak, please. And if you don't want to speak, you may also drop your thoughts in the chat box. But it will be good to get a few people to quickly share some thoughts around these three hypotheses our facilitator has raised so far.
Anybody in the house? I'll ask our coordinators to mention names.
I can't see any hands yet. Oh.
Ojoluwafemi Jumoke, Okunko Maria.
Okay, I think, Israel. Yeah, Shiji, you can unmute now. You've been granted access.
Okay, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Shiji.
Yeah, my contribution is simple. Talent management is not for fun. Sorry, I'm moving as I'm speaking. It is not for fun. It is essentially because, I mean, for people to perform. People are engaged for one reason, to perform, to undertake some task. So getting them managed is actually geared towards that. If they don't do what they're expected to do, then the management will wake up to get them to doing it. The idea is the rationale behind talent management is to ensure that the task given or assignment given or role given is done by the people joyfully, such that they can even exceed their capacity in doing it, because they are managed in such a way to deliver good results. Nothing will happen without people in the organization. That's the talent. So without them there and not delivering on that result, then that expectation will be jeopardized. But to get it done, to get anything done in the organization, you need the talent, the people in there. That's my take.
Thank you, Shiji. Ikechuku, your hands is on, please. You can unmute.
Okay. Good evening, Kenny. Yeah, evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. So for the first question, like I typed, I said, if organizational performance in any way can be linked to the human capital, then you can't take it away that, for me, I didn't say employee retention. I said talent retention is to be, you can link that success to attribution. Now, we learned and we've come to see HR as the midwife of corporate performance. The reason HR exists is not just to push documents, but to provide support for organizational performance. So I dare say that where HR is properly done, talent retention must be at the core of organizational performance. That's how I want to put it. But there are other dimensions that I may not be able to begin to talk now because of time. But my simple answer is yes. organizational performance is linked to talent retention. I won't just say employee retention, but I'm careful with choosing my word to say talent retention. Thank you. I hope I made sense.
Thank you so much. Okay.
From Shiji and Ikechuk's point of view, that it's quite important.
Kenny, you are muted. You need to unmute, Kenny. Hello, Kenny. You need to unmute yourself, Kenny. So while we wait for Kenny to come back, let me just quickly read some thoughts that have been graciously shared by our distinguished members, participants. Okay, Ikechukwu already shared his thoughts. So let me go to Toyin Talks Talent. Madam Toyin said, to question one, I think most people want to work with an organization that performs well. In other words, an organization that is flourishing, that is thriving. Okay, but if the culture is not great, okay, performance will not matter and people will leave. Very deep insight from Tony there. People want to work for organizations that are flourishing or performing well. However, if the culture is not good or great, performance will not matter and people will leave. Kenny, I'm reading the comments. Then
okay, that's fine. Yeah, thanks.
Ogechuku, I hope, let me just call you Oge so that I don't, mispronounce your name. That says that talent management is directly linked to organizational performance, okay? Because it focuses on 1, recruitment, 2, performance, 3, motivation, and 4, retention of top talent. She even linked it with what? Top talent. She said that these top talents drive results. If they are demotivated or not even recruited in the first place, they will not perform and they will eventually leave the organization with a loss. Okay, let me see. Amarachi says, if the organization is not performing, the talents will move. If the organization is not performing, talent will move. Performing in ways that does not just cater for the business needs, but also relevant to the talent's individual objective. Okay, she again says, top talent helps organizations to achieve their goals. Okay, and then Ikechukwu, I think it comes back again to say, I can draw an immediate line of sight between my learning intervention to my business figures over a period of time. So his answer is yes. Adetunbi Ashai says, to the second question, you raised like 3 points or hypotheses. The second hypothesis, Adetunbi says, an improperly managed employee will leave, whether the employee is a high potential or high flyer. Talent management is therefore key to employee retention. Lastly, Ikechukwu makes a third appearance and says, as HR practitioners, we ought to see ourselves continuously as midwives or facilitators of corporate performance, regardless of business sector. Back to you, Kenny.
All right, thank you, Yemi. And thanks to everyone who have lent their voice to this. And yes, well taken. And I like the last point, that HR as midwife. So we exist to, bet some of the talents that are within in the mind of the people. And that's what we do. So we look at an overview of the talent management today. Now, if you agree, everyone will agree with me that HR practice as a whole, there's a huge shift from what we used to know to what is happening currently in today's world of work. And another thing is that we also agree that post-COVID, we have come to realize that there are a lot of changes that happens almost at a beck and call, and almost at every instant in the workplace. And therefore, HR practitioners cannot afford to, just remain in the same place that we are without moving with the trends and the way things are changing in the workplace today or in the world of work generally. So what is talent management? And this is just simply how employers recruit and develop a workforce that is as productive as possible and likely to stay with their organization long time. So one of the aims or our aims as HR professionals or practitioners in the different places where we work is to ensure that we bring in the right kind of people with the right skill sets that can deliver results. And then what determines their long stay, whether or not they stay, are now the things that we do as HR for them. And I'll give us a typical example. Yesterday, there was a training, there was an Excel training that I got from one of our, it was a freebie training that I got from one of our training vendors that we work with. And I decided that I will not keep it to myself. So I shared it via an email to all our employees that at least have access to an official email. And at the end of the training, I got a text message, a WhatsApp message from one of my colleagues to say, this is one of the best, that benefit that he has gotten from HR. And he said, thank you, Kenny, for, bringing this to bear, giving us the opportunity. It was free, but he was able to get something from it. Now, what I'm saying in essence is that it is not enough that we bring in the right kind of, employee or workers to the workplace. It's not enough to recruit the right skill set. Much more that is expected of us is to keep them. And that's the role of the talent management. And that's what managing them, ensuring that we keep them so that they can stay focused to produce and deliver results that is expected of them. Now, when we are able to achieve this, what does that do for us? It can help us to improve the overall performance of the business. And like we all agree to the hypothesis that was shared that we all contributed to, that talent management has a direct impact on overall performance of the business. And it helps to ensure that the business remain competitive. Because when people don't, lose focus or lose track of why they are in the workplace, and they are not able to, get focused to achieve that which they have been employed to do, then HR, we begin to hear comments like, what is HR doing? And then they can begin to question why we exist in the business. And one of the key focus of HR is also, like I mentioned earlier, to ensure that people stay on the job. Give them what they need to do the job, provide the resources that they need to do the job so that they can have all that it takes to achieve results within a given time. Now, there are three parts to managing talent. And that number one of it, which is very key, and it's the start point, is talent acquisition. This is how we bring in people to the organization. What methods do we use? Are we transparent in doing this? Then the talent management itself is now organizing the people. Now we have been able through job adverts, and sometimes we do head hunting. We speak with people, we reach out through our connections to say there's a vacancy, and then we announce it, we bring people in. Yes, that has been achieved. And that's the first part of it. The next important part of it is also how we now manage them. It's just like a man is getting married to a woman, and you have done all that you need to do. You have wooed your woman, you've been able to convince her, and you both have that strong conviction to say, this is the right man for me. This is the right woman for me. And you both agree to get into a marriage relationship. Now, managing that relationship is now the next phase after the wedding ceremony. That's the onboarding, which we can call the onboarding. And then now you're now managing organizing, ensuring that this person stays with you, remains your wife for life, remains your husband for life. What are the things that you need to do? And then the last part in this trend is the talent activation, making the most out of your people. What are the things that we need to do in the workplace to make the most out of our people? You have been able to bring them, like marriage, you have been able to, take your wife down to the altar, you brought her into your home. You now begin to plan, what are the things that we are bringing on the table? What are we doing? What do we want to do? How do we want to manage our lives together? Then activation is now some of the things that the person has brought on the table. How do you make the most out of it? Because sometimes we really don't know how much people have until you tap into the talent that they have. And most times this even extends beyond what we have employed them to do. Like in my organization, for instance, we have a MOCA Academy, where we have been able to identify subject matter experts who beyond the call of duty could organize training, free training, in-house training outside the call of their duty. Yes, we have employed them as, for instance, HSC manager, but this person is also able to, and rather than you paying so much for it, you are able to identify this particular set of people who are organizers. And when you are having programs in the organization, these are people that, and they are not within HR most of the time, that you have identified their energy. You know that this is an organizer, this is a party planner, and they help and, you share your thoughts with them and they bring it to life. So this is making the most out of your people beyond the call of what you have engaged them to do. Now, talent management strategy is another thing that we need to take cognizance of. And this is peculiar to businesses. And a lot of times is a function of the companies that we work for. Now, what's your company's philosophy on learning and development? It's your organization such that is given to learning and would do anything. When I say anything now, would put in money when it comes to building budget for L&D. You don't find such organizations or management having to cut and say, what are you even teaching? What are you learning? No, it's a philosophy that the company holds. And sometimes some companies have it and others don't. Now, also, how well we manage talent in our workplace determines how long or short they would stay. No company, and we must also understand that no company has it all. Some leverage on learning and development of its workforce, others leverage on good remuneration as a retention tool. So, and again, what have we been able to identify what our employees, what our talent value more? What do your people value? Because you might be doing so much and people don't value it. And that I've found out a lot of times when we roll out engagement initiatives in the workplace. And at the end of the day, you hear comments like, this is not what we want. Why don't you let us have our money? Sometimes people don't, some talents in the workplace don't even value learning. How do we ensure that what we are giving them is a need that we are meeting? So, and one of the ways we can keep a motivated and productive workforce is through a robust learning opportunity. And that would extend to, for instance, if you want to train the floor guys, I work in a manufacturing setting. You look at who is the best person that will be able to come down to the level of this talent that we are. Recently, we had an upskilling training for our supervisors. And before I took on the talent management role, there has been an ongoing engagement with the person I took over from, with I think it's Smith, one of our facilitators, one of our training vendors, whom, in my own view, yes, it's very good, but I feel that because these are people that works directly with Lagos Business School, and we're talking about people that their average qualification that some of them have is maybe secondary school, some is this trade test that they have, and then bringing a so much qualified person. I do not see that individual as being able to come down to the level of the person to be trained. Then when I took it on, I engaged him. I felt that what we wanted to achieve, we'll not be able to achieve with this person. Then this other person came to mind, who can go down even as far as speaking pidgin English, as long as the knowledge is passed across. So this is some of the things that we need to look at when we are, pushing out learning opportunities to our workforce. We need to understand who are the people that we're training. We need to also be able to find out, and that's what brought about the effectiveness in what we do. The people that we are training and how we are able to align the people we are training with the right kind of vendor or training outfits to handle that training. In that way, we achieve so much result. Because a lot of times when people are in class and they're able to get their facilitator is not really coming down to the switch off. So when you gauge the engagement level in class, you'll be able to tell that you have been able to achieve and meet the need of both the employer and the employee. Still continuing, effective talent management requires that our business goals and strategies drive the quality and quantity of the talent that we need. It is effective when both the goals and the strategies that we take in achieving them aligns. And that's where the quality comes in. Does it meet the needs of the people? Does it meet the business need also? Now, there's a trend that is going on around, and I think I read up something recently that talked about employers or HR practitioners should, get ready for the great resignations. There are a lot of changes. Talents are moving, and they are moving from the shores of this country abroad, overseas. There's a huge, movement that is going on around right now. One of our vendors that we relate with, a whole department within the space of 1 month had moved in the space of 1 month. They're just within 1 week, back to back, you just find people dropping resignation. And we've started experiencing it in my workplace too, where resignations are coming. How do we stop this? Do we really have a control over this? And one of the things that, that people are really getting tired. Employees are really getting tired of the same kind of, environment, the same kind of, hearing the same thing over and over again. And they want more, especially with the Gen Zs that we have today. People are moving and we can't stop them. One of my friends recently resigned, and the first question that when she had a meeting with her line manager was that, when you know you're not going to stay, why did you come? Because she was barely 6 months in the business. And I knew from the way that, we got together that she might not really stay for long. So there's a lot for us to do in ensuring that, as much as possible, we're able to keep our people, because the buck at the end of the day lies on our table. Within the next few months now, I know that I'm going to be really busy trying to fill up some of these gaps that has been created by these resignations. Now, what do we need to do as HR? It's also for employees to be able to see right from their first day in the workplace that, what is my trajectory in this place? Is this organization such that, yes, if I'm not because we can't be losing, employees can't be losing on both ends. If a reward is not so great, then there must be something that is given in. So designing world-class, in mitigating the great resignation, is for us to design world-class effective talent management processes which will ensure that company thrives in the post-pandemic business landscape. And this is such that will meet and satisfy both the employee and the employer's needs. There are some surveys that went out after a lot of organizations resumed post the pandemic. I know that most people do not want to return back to work. And at the end of the day, we find out that we really do not need that 4 walls of the office to achieve results. Because some of the outcomes of such surveys says that even employers are more productive. You know, sometimes when we get to the workplace in the morning, you first do some greetings, you talk about the football that has happened the day before, and you spend most of your hours gisting. But during the pandemic, when there was lockdown, people have to work from home, we realized that we can achieve even much more. And these are the needs of the employees today. Now, I know that most companies, especially when you are working in the manufacturing sector, you have that push from the people that work in the plant that they tell you, or in the manufacturing setting, that they feel is a cheat for some people to be working from home, excuse me, and some others to stay back in the workplace to work. But we must know where we offer in the scheme of work. If I'm an operative in the production line, then I can't work from home. But as HR, must be able to sell this to our employees or to our colleagues. Now, what are some of the things that we need to do in achieving effective talent management initiative? Is to understand the business and its operating model. I know that most organizations will have their financial year where strategies are being built, and a lot of times these are being cascaded down. It goes from the top line down to the middle level management, and then down to the least person in the organization, where this has been all the initiatives and the business models are being cascaded down. Then as HR, we need to pick our own. What training needs to be met so that people can operate at the level to which the business has set to say, this is the way we are going this year. This is the focus of the business. What are the gaps? Because business is not operating in the same environment again. Things are changed. We must ensure alignment with business strategy and execute a management buy-in. Now, management buy-in in this sense is that HR can't run on its own. Yes, if we take on all the strategies and we are running with it, you must have the executive management buy-in in before we can implement any effective or useful talent management initiative. We must get management buy-in. And also, in addition to that, is to deploy best fit programs. And that's why understanding our people is key. People are very unique. And like one of us said when we started, very unique in the organization, and we can't do without them. And we feel a lot of this brunt when we experience down tooling, because they have their power. So we must be able to, as HR, deploy best fit programs. Understand your people. Don't go and bring an high-rise training that they're all going to be lost in it. What about deploying technical trainings? And also bringing in people that that can come to their level, because a lot of times they just come back and tell you that, oh, I didn't understand anything here. It's just grammar. Is it grammar we are going to hit? And even as little as a tip break, I got the feedback in one of the recent trainings that we did for some of our technical guys recently. And one of them came up and said, what kind of cheap biscuit is this that you gave us? That singular comment took over the whole class. And it took wisdom, to be able to manage that. I had to go back out of my way from my own pocket to, provide an additional snacks for them, because I know that that can, lead to like a switch off. They will just switch off and they just sit in class, and at the end of the day, it's not their money, so they are not losing. So in order for us to ensure that, yes, the business is spending money and that this money is a well spent, you can spend money and they say, this money is not well spent. And you can also spend and is well spent, because at the end of the day, the people are better for it. And we see the result, the return on this investment in the outputs. And once also avoid the trap of best in class, or going to go and do a copy and paste. It might not work. It might not work. And that's why some books that, some foreign books that we read, we apart from getting the knowledge in some of those books, is to be able to bring it down to our level. Because Nigeria is a peculiar society, and what works in one country, what works in Ghana may not work in Nigeria. Another thing that we must do to ensure that our talent management initiative is effective is to engage necessary stakeholders in implementing learning solutions before taking action. And I will explain this. There was a training that I was planning for because we have a depot. I felt that most of the times they always lose out on trainings. So there was a general safety training, because by ITF standard, every employee must be trained around safety. It's key to getting reimbursement, good reimbursement for your training. So I planned that one of our depot in Ibadan, that the facilitator, that this is our Mocha Academy facilitator, that this lady was going to take the training down to the depot. We have arranged, even I'd spoken with our procurement unit to plan for the trip and also book the accommodation. So I sent out the email. Obviously, our CCO, that's the Chief Commercial Officer, didn't get that email, or he missed the email. And then I got the feedback from the person who was supposed to go for the training to say, this man is really very angry. So I walked up to his office. I said, Oga, I heard that you said we can't hold that training. Every other thing is settled, but one key stakeholder that did not buy into it will just disrupt your plan. So I walked up and I said, he said, you used to fumble. I said, Oga, now. So we must have, as HR, you must have people that you pally, that can help you achieve results easily if you don't want to struggle. And that I've come to understand. You must have people who would help you champion your cause. A lot of times, especially if you work in a place where HR doesn't really have so much to say, they just come and dump things on your table and say, implement. So you need this stakeholder. So I met him and I said, okay, so what do you want? He said, we can, and it's sales. And it's a very busy period for us in the business now that every cover counts. So he said, no, he can't allow anybody out of the class, out of the unit to attend any training. Kenny, you're supposed to have done this. So I said, okay, what do you mean? And he gave me an idea that really worked. He said, what about aligning your planned trainings, any training that has to do with commercial team, sales team, customer service team at home, aligning with their own strategy session. And that was it for me. And we both have that agreement. And immediately I did an email to all the parties that we had sent out emails to say this training has been postponed, because I saw a lot of sense in that. It has helped me to save costs, because they are going to be, anytime that they have their strategy session, they usually would, have it in an hotel, and then there's the same training room, then they lodge people there. So they will help me in lodging the facilitator. They will also provide, refreshments. And the person might even be going with some of the souvenirs that they get. So in a way, we are not pulling out people too much of the time. And we are also achieving a very good result. So we must also, take stakeholders' engagement very important if you want to achieve anything at all. You might be doing something good and you're doing it in the wrong way. And these are people that has mouth in the business place, that they can frustrate your effort. Your good effort can be frustrated if care is not taken. Okay, I've said this, ensure alignment with functional heads, head of functions, head of unit. Let's align with them in ensuring that they agree to the best thing, to training their people. It's their people you are training, yet they are angry that you are not carrying them along. They are angry that you maybe your selection is not right, or the timing, especially around timing. Timing is very key. Timing is very key. Now, another thing that we also need to do in ensuring that we keep our people, talent retention. And that's what it should be our heart cry as HR now. How do we keep these people? Because every time you lose an employee, you go back to the drawing board. There's a gap, especially where you do not have a succession plan in place. And sometimes, recently, I have noticed that employees leave without even giving notice. And I think maybe I will note that down. If we have time, we need to also brainstorm around this. How do we guide against this? You see this person next minute, and then the next minute the person is out and saying, I'm leaving with immediate effect. Use my leave, for the notice period, and it disrupts you entirely. It disrupts your strategy because you have built your strategy around about them. So most importantly for us is to listen to our employees' preferences on remote or hybrid work pattern. I know that most business leaders today wants to keep people. And at the end of the day, if we gauge how much value people bring to work, 8 to 5 every day, maybe they only use 4 hours, some even use 2 hours out of their 8 hours in achieving results. And that's why you see a lot of times people work very late because their early hours, what they do is to gist, is to play around, and they don't get to sit down to get the work done. So as HR, and if you don't want to give ourselves problems and we want our workplace to remain viable, we must, as much as possible, listen to our employees. They have preference. Some would say, okay, why don't you give us an opportunity to work 3 days in a week from home, and then we show up 2 days. Recently, we had, I joined our finance team to their annual retreat, and we did it at high impact along Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. On our way back, we enjoyed ourselves. We had a very good session, left on Friday, returned on Saturday. But do you know that in that great traffic, we spent hours, a journey that should not have taken us more than 20 minutes. We spent hours. By the time we are getting back to the office late in the evening that Saturday, I had a lot of feedback from people to say, we need to really pity a lot of our staff who lives around Mowe, Ibafo axis. And I saw sense in what they say. So these are some of the things where when people see the flexibility we create around work, then we are almost at keeping them because they know that. And some of the things that people consider before leaving your employment is, if I live here now, this kind of a comfort, because when people understand that, okay, if I talk to my boss, he could allow me some days off work, without maybe necessarily taking it off from my work. These are some of the things that people gauge. And then this new place I'm going in, to the distance that I cover from home to office, and some of these things will have to change. So we must be listening, HR. We must do more of listening to our people, especially when we know that they will still bring out results. The next thing that we need to do in achieving effective talent management initiative is to rethink and rejig our rewards and compensation. Reward and compensation is not limited to raw cash, to fiscal cash, to cash compensation. This is around well-being, career development. Identify an high flyer. In my workplace, annually we have a program where we have a pool of employees, high flyer, people who through their, consistently in their performance, they have done well. They are like 90th percentile and above. And they have done that in the space of 2 years consecutively. We call it a fast track program where it's a blend of learning, class learning, technical trainings and mentoring sections. And we have a business with LBS. So we could think around stuff like that where such people, when and there's this pride, that they feel when they get into the program. Yes, there's an assessment that they run before the final 6 people are picked and they get into this program. Are we still all together?
Yes, we are.
Are we still together? Can I get one or two response?
Yes,
Yes, we are.
All right,
Yes, we are. We are together.
Thank
We
you.
are together.
Yes, we are.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, we are.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
The chats are
Thank you.
booming.
So particularly around employee well-being. Recently in my workplace, we started a wellness program. And we also had a project called Project Rainbow, where whether you are a top management or a C-suite member, we had a C-suite having to play table tennis with plant guys. And it was, I wish that I had planned that I was going to be sharing some of these examples. I would have shown us pictures of some of those, initiatives that people even forget about their worries, their problems, and they look forward to such program around employee well-being. Last week, because every first Friday we used to have that well-being, have a date where employees can relate to, and that day registers in their mind. So on Friday we brought in a fitness person. We had exercise done in the morning, and it's classless. It's classless. People are happy, and then they go with that vibes back to work, and that also brought about a request to say, now that we are having this fitness exercise, are we expected to take this sweat and then go and work? And we started thinking about how can we create bedrooms, because I had a lot of admin guys who didn't join that section because they feel that, well, the floor guys can go and change when they had an existing bedroom where they can go and change and put on their overall for those that wear uniform. And I have this other part of people who says would have joined, but the week that sweat and then work from 10 o'clock to 5 p.m. when we close. And this also brings about thinking that, okay, do we have space that we can create? Can we convert a particular place? This is listening to people. And when people see that they are engaged, they tend to stay long. And it takes off the stress of, imagine hiring somebody and less than 6 months, that person is going. Even though that lady was my friend, I wasn't quite happy because we knew, and that was the first question the line manager asked her, that when you knew you're not going to stay, why did you come? And I know that man said it out of pain. It took us a long time before we could, narrow down to her. We had to adjust the budget to stay, because, when the line manager said, this is what I want, you don't have a choice because he's the hiring manager. You have to adjust budget to say, okay, can we take from here and add there, so that this person that this guy wants, and you now imagine that person leaving after less than 6 months. So the headache of the line manager is different from your headache as HR. Your own headache as HR is that I'm going back to the drawing board. So we need to think around the well-being of the people. Fitness program that you can organize for them, so that people feel that you care for them. Seek feedback for every initiative to gauge acceptability. Before COVID, we used to have an annual party in our workplace and this was an initiative from our then CEO, who felt that, okay, there should be another avenue where we bring in families of workers. Some children don't even know where their parents work. They just know that they get up early in the morning and they dash up to work. They say, my mom has gone to the office, my dad has gone to work. So parents, so that they even see where their parents work and see their other co-workers. So because of COVID, we did not have that party done. And then the thought came to mind to say, what do we do? And then we monetize it. Do we know we had an issue with monetizing that? And what each employee got, I'm sure if they had attended the party, they would not have in terms of refreshment at the party, they would not have gotten up to that. But we had an issue on our hand to say, did we get as much? Maybe they would have given us more than what we have gotten. Maybe they would have gotten more than what we had already gotten from these people, and they have cheated us. You know, the way workers think. So last year, we thought differently, because we felt that, okay, even some of the people that got the money, some of them, they will not even take it home. And the idea around this party was for family, is to be able to bring different families together and bond and, party, merry, and the rest at the end of a whole year of hard work. So we felt, okay, we'll do a goodie bag. And we did a goodie bag where we have different kind of groceries in needs, provisions, and people got it smiling. Although I got to understand at some point that some people even sell too. So we must constantly seek feedback. Have somebody within, maybe the union, if you're in a unionized environment, where you can tap an insight from to say, what do you people think? We want to do this. Because you might be doing so much and it's not appreciated. And you don't want to put in so much effort that is not appreciated. So this takes me to the next thing that we're looking at. How does efficiency comes in? Now, efficiency in talent management is achieved when we can produce an intended result in the way that results in the least waste of time, effort, and resources. So this looks at the quality that we bring in between it. How quickly are we able to achieve it? So if you are set up, and everyone should, if you are in the talent management space, an L&D plan, because that's where it starts from. And from the beginning of the financial year, for every organization, you should have been able to work with, or maybe pick from the performance appraiser, the feedback from a performance appraiser. There are individual development plans that comes from that, or areas where the line managers has commented. So this is how we build up the L&D plan. And sometimes you need to also, like I mentioned, that engage, walk up to the line manager and say, or the head of the function to say, okay, what are we doing? What training are you thinking for your people? They may not even think along that line, but you are seeing it because you engage with them. And sometimes our people will walk up to us because they are our friends and say, there's this training that I want to do. So once they hint you like that, you take it and say, okay, can we achieve this? So this is how we build up the plan. So having built up a plan, then we must work with that plan without wasting time and putting so much, and also maximizing the resources, optimizing the resource. I had a budget slash at the beginning of the year, and I do not have a choice in that. So what I did is to, okay, can we take from this? Because we had a change in our financial year. We used to run our financial year used to run from July to June, but because of the change in management that we had a new owner. So our financial year had to change from now to January to December. So that changed a lot of things. It's also changed our budget that we're working with when we're using the July to June dates. But we still have to achieve. And that's where relationship comes in. That's why we need to leverage on, just like we are doing this evening, leverage on the people that you know over the years. And that's when we work out, when I advise employees, when they work out, or even as HR professionals, we work out of our workplaces. Don't slam the door, because they are going to be needing that door. Don't work out on an HR person because you feel that person didn't treat you well, because you're going to be needing that person. So in a way that meets the intended result, there's a need that we identify through needs assessment. So as HR practitioner, we must have done that need assessment to see, especially when the business is transitioning into maybe new product line and you need more hands. So where that talent is not readily available, or where that knowledge is readily not available, then you need to Then there are some trainings that is not even in the plan, but because the business is changing, like in our business, we are thinking of going into export. And there was one training that came up that MD sent to me to say, he wants this training implemented. They identified the people and we don't have a choice than to do what? In the nick of time, implement it. Now, when we talk about efficiency in talent management, it asks the question, how can I achieve more with less resources? How can I deliver the talent management initiative within available time frame? So it means that you have to be able to slash the L&D plan, break it into months. Okay, what training are we going to be doing? One of the ways that we have also been pushing out trainings in our workplace now is through the learning management. We have a learning management system in place that was done for us by workforce management. And I tell you, there's a whole lot of soft skills training that people are benefiting from. Even in areas that, some of it is budget and planning, managing budgets. A lot of us, it's even, apart from helping you in the workplace, it helps you as an individual in the home front. So how do I manage budget? How do I run with the family budget? So there are a lot that we can do. And how much are we paying annually to renew this? I think it's about 2.5. And if you're going to be running all of the, we have about above 70 courses on the LMS portal. So you can think around this. So it enables you, the way ours run, it enables you to create users on that platform. So every employee is a user. If they don't have official email, you put in their personal email. And then another thing that I've also done when I started managing this space is to now create group users. I had a group, a finance group, so that when I want to share a tailored soft skill training for them, I know that it's just for, remember, time is of essence. So rather than going to go and pick people one by one, one after the other, once I just click finance, it deploys to everybody in that department. I have operations, I have HR, I have procurement. I go through the list of the courses. So these are some of the things that we can also, we can also practice, and it lasts for a whole year. You can also even monitor and track how many people have accessed the course when you deploy. That platform also allows us to have an e-induction. So that rather than people spending time, speaking to new employees when they come in during their onboarding section every time, you have it, like an e-slide where you can also deploy to people. So this talks about within the available time and in a cost-friendly manner. So if you can use 2.5 million to deploy a soft skill training to about 300 and some of us in our workplaces, we have above 1,000 employees. So you see that it's really cost effective. And this is where budget management comes in. So as talent managers, we must have grasp of the budget and be able to achieve more with less. And there's a direct link between efficiency and effectiveness. Effectiveness talks about the ability to produce better results. You see what you are doing and you see your people happy. You see that they are happy. I just took life. I hope you can still see my face.
Go ahead, I'm seeing you.
Confirm if you can still see my face.
Yeah, we can see you.
Just go ahead. It is Nigeria.
Okay. Effectiveness is the ability to produce a better result, one that delivers more value or achieves a better outcome. Now, I move on to my next slide, talking about working with and through the L&D budget. I spoke to us about earlier that, yes, we have an L&D plan. There's also a corresponding budget to it. For this particular training, how much do we want, bring it closer? How much do we want to spend on it? This is now breaking down those budget lines into the different departments. Okay, operations as a whole, how much do we have for them? How can we now split this into the different training needs that has been identified? Now, without a budget, training costs are unknown in advance and paid for as they occur. Having a budget means you can expend training costs throughout the year, reducing their immediate impact. I know that we know what budget is all about, so I will not waste time on that. Now, the training, what does the training budget include? The direct and indirect costs required to analyze, design, develop, implement, evaluate, and implement trainings during a particular business period. Remember that we have financial year that we run with, and trainings have been planned within that period. So you look at what costs can be pushed out of the main training, like what I mentioned to us, sharing the example of our CCO helping with, pushing out some of the costs for them to bear it. So you can look at other areas like transportation, can push it into your local travels and accommodation so that your training budget doesn't suffer much. Aligning with key stakeholders, head of functions to agree on absorbing some other associated costs. Like that's what I do. I say, okay, we want to train your people. Please bear the cost for bringing them from maybe our Benin or Kaduna plan if the training is to hold in Lagos. And they ask me, how much is this? Okay. Like commercial, they have money a lot. It's okay, put it. You have been able to push that out of your training cost. And then you can use that for some other trainings that is not planned, but also important. Then also now that post-COVID, we have learned that a lot of things are being done virtually. Maximize virtual opportunity. All that it costs you is the data. So virtual sections takes off other associated costs rather than it takes off the launch that you would do. It takes off your tea break sections. It takes off travel and the risk of traveling. So these are some of the things that we can try to achieve, despite the fact that we have a working budget. What are the things that we need to look out for? So this trend of what we call customer experience versus employee experience. Now, we all agree with me that businesses are evolving. Now, today, workforce of people, new hires or prospective employees are at liberty to choose the time that they want to appear for interview. Gone are the days where people run helter-skelter to say, I have an interview, I have to prepare for it. No. People sometimes have received calls from some people, maybe they go through my LinkedIn profile and they say, are you available? And I just simply say, no, right now, I'm not thinking about moving. That's the trend now, where people are now the one, employers are now the one looking for talents. So the workplace is evolving, businesses are evolving. So today, employee experience is very vital, and it helps to enhance, the talent management strategies that we put in place. Managing talent also means managing their experiences at work. I told us about one of my colleagues yesterday, and that really made my day. That comment that he shared with me to say, Kenny, keep it up. Thank you. So this is one of the best gifts that he has received from HR. He came to me free. And we're not going to lose anything by sharing with people to be part of, because a lot of us in HR, we have groups, we have a network that we work with, share with people. Businesses can take what they have learned about building great customer experience and apply these techniques. So it's similar. The same way that we want to give, customer experience, we should also think of our employees as customers, giving them a robust employee experience. An employee experience begins even these days now, in today's world of work, from onboarding. You know whether your new hires will stay right from their onboarding experience. And as much as customers want to interact with companies via multiple channels and touch points, so also our talent management initiative should touch the mind of the people so much that they want to stay with us. We must think around what engagement initiatives we have in place. And I'm asking you, as HR professionals, as talent management professionals, what engagement initiatives do you have in place? Wellness strategies, culture in our workplace that we have annually now, we introduce cultural events. And we're going to be giving out some tokens to some group of people that will have identifiers, some Benin, some Edo, some Hausa, some Yoruba, you know, to show their cultural, the richness of our culture, interdepartmental games. This is how we live a good employee experience with our people. And this is how much we can support the business. HR today is seen as support centers. And what we do psychologically in the workplace can never be quantified. A lot of times they don't see what we do and say, what does HR do? Say, well, let's have a down to. And then they are saying, go and call HR. Or you hear your MD say, HR, go and answer the question. Town hall meetings, what are we reassuring our team? When we had the Project Rainbow program in our workplace, and our MD was in his speech said, our people are going to be smiling. Honestly, if you see how our people interpreted that, we'll be smiling. It took us attending 2-box meeting to re-explain that. They said, but MD said we are going to be smiling because we had a consolidated handbook. Before we used to have staff handbook and management handbook. And that caused a lot of disparity in the workplace. And we felt that actually there's no difference in this thing. Why don't we save ourselves this day? So we consolidated everything into one booklet. And I said, this is one of it. Before, you used to see it as them versus us. But now we are one. This is bringing us together. And we have things like leave vacation for fathers. When your wife puts to bed, you could take some vacation, some days off work, added to the existing, benefits that we have. So we need to think around how can we continue, especially some of our legacy staff. You see those floor guys, you need to get to the plant. If you work in the manufacturing setting to understand that they are really key to the business survivor. And some of them have had comments like, where were you people when we are building this place? They see themselves as stakeholders. Yes, they are stakeholders. Although they may not have so much stake at the end of the day, but they are stakeholders. What about
Can we still hear our facilitator?
No, I can't hear her.
Okay, I suspect our network has dealt with her. Once you have power outage, the next thing is you will have internet outage. Let's just wait for her for a few minutes. Okay, or she technically true with her slide presentation because I'm the one controlling the slides from here, and she has just one more slide to talk. So while we wait for her to come up, I know some of our colleagues here have contributions, and we'd like to take a few of them. Please, if you'd like to contribute, you can quickly raise up your hand. Let's quickly take the contributions so that we also maximize the waiting time. Okay, contributions, please, from our distinguished members. Okay, so
Yeah.
okay, go ahead, Shay, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. Well done. My
So
own take.
Has the floor. Please go ahead, Shay.
Yeah, my own take is that we should, from our learnings, we should also try to domesticate whatever initiative we are getting. As you always say, no one size fits all again in HR. We should understand the environment we find ourselves before implementing initiative. I like the facilitator before she went off. Legacy staff can be something else. In my new job, I've been told one time, Oganja will let a team of Koko. Even when you're at yes, they will just tell you, Oga, you just come, you just want to management is. And when you even try to let them see reason, they will tell you, Oga, don't worry. After 6 months, you know after 1 year, you know how far. So it's better we learn to understand environment, domesticate initiative before implementation. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Adebola. You need to be able to put your own context into reality. So when you get any idea from our colleague at a forum like this or online, just don't copy hook, line, and sinker. Okay. Now I think this is, I will treat it as a question from just 1 minute. And the person, just a minute. Okay, so the person said, I carried out an engagement survey to know what the employees want. The top two on their list was remuneration and promotion. I am at a loss of what to do because these two is beyond me. Okay, who would like to help provide some solutions or give some ideas to this? The question is from Temitayo Samuel. I'm sure a lot of people can relate with our situation and scenario. And I have a feeling everybody on this call also needs salary increment and promotion.
Honestly.
Okay. People are even already alluding to that fact in the chat box. So who would like to profile a solution, please? Or suggestions? Ruth, would you like to speak?
Yes, I would. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So I want to ask, if they do yearly appraisals in the organization, if yes, you can go ahead to structure this in such a way that people have something to hope towards, so that we won't just have them get promoted or get a compensation review based on emotions. Let there be a structure that, okay, we're coming to the end of the year, we're going to have a yearly appraisal. Some people will get promoted, some compensation review. So that helps them to have something to look forward to. And so those that would, so basically everybody feels they have, they're entitled to something. Then those that would know, they know that, okay, they have to work towards improving their performance and all that. So I think hope would help to scale you up to a point, but there has to be a structure in place for compensation review or promotion to come in at some point. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ruth. Hope we help you to a point. Doctor will also help you. Let's quickly take 2 comments. I see IK, please share your comments. And then Temitayo Samuel, I don't know if you still have questions or you have comments. Let's quickly take that. I think our facilitator is back. Temitayo Samuel, would you like to speak? IK, go ahead.
Okay, can I talk or IK should go ahead first?
Since you are speaking now, IK will depart to you as a gentleman.
Okay, thanks for this. The last speaker that answered my question, that's why I raised up my hand. So I work in a very big organization. So everything the facilitator said tonight, I can relate with whatever she's doing. So we do all those learning and any initiative you can think of, we do that in the organization, and still staff are not. So I had to run a survey because I was like, we can't keep assuming this is what they want. Let us even know what they want. So from there, we will know what we are doing. And this is like the second survey or third survey I've done. And definitely, let me not lie, I already know because I'm an employee, I know. But just to confirm what I already know and to like present figures and facts. And in fact, like 90 or 95% came back as remuneration and career growth. That was the top 2. The third one was hybrid, but of course, the management had approved hybrid, so that's out of the way. So the top 2 was remuneration and career growth. Yes, we do appraisal, mid-year appraisal, end of the year appraisal. But you know one thing is when you work in a very large organization, yeah, there are people that their appraisal score fine, everything fine. There's no reason why you won't promote them, but at the same time, you can't promote everybody because of the budgets. You get what I'm saying? So they are valid. So people spend 4, 5, 6 years on a grade. So it's a lot of things. Depends on if you're in a very large department. People that are in a very small departments might tend to grow faster than you. I don't know if you understand. So everything still boils down to budget. That's why I said it's really beyond me. I already know the facts, but it still comes down to budget.
Thank you, Temitayo. The chat box, people are also dropping some suggestions. And we'll quickly take IK. IK, please.
Yes, thank you, Olugbemi. So Temi, we feel you, but let me just start by saying communicate. we need to be, as employee champions, we must be upfront with the reality of our business position. Now, what are you supposed to communicate? We, as we have said earlier on, as facilitators of business performance, we are business people in the HR space. We're not just HR people. And one underlying thing about being a business person in the HR space is you must understand the language of your business. If you know the language of your business, then you must know your numbers. Yes, remuneration and then promotion may not be within your immediate purview, but if you know that it's not something you can afford, whether you do a performance appraisal and any of those things, it still will not work. So if you have an understanding of what the business, where the business is currently, communicate that. Now, take that your survey and look at the other items, all right? You said the top 2 is those ones that you cannot do anything about. So look at the other ones. What about the 3, 4, 5 items that are also things that will be valuable to your employees? You can begin to push those ones in the meantime, okay? And at least let there be a sense that something is even being done. You may not just want to jump straight to increasing their remuneration, because that's a function of your business performance. But what are the other low-hanging fruits that are available to you? You may want to look at that and work on that. So why don't you look at pushing some of those things? How are they enjoying? Like we heard about the speaker talking about learning today. Learning is something that employees don't even know the value until they're placed and until the thing is put in front of them. All right. What are the other career paths? What are the kind of talent initiatives you can bring in? Job enrichment or job rotation initiatives that could go a long way to bring some joy to their job. So I'll just say, don't bog yourself down. If there's no funds in the business, there's nothing you can do about that, because business is to perform better, but you must let them know. Have channels where you're engaging them continuously, and then you're able to let them know. But however, let there be something on the table that you can bring to them in the meantime while they are waiting. Okay. Of course, you also need to paint the picture to the business that, listen, something needs to be done for your people, particularly your kids, and then begin to start to do things for some of your top performing employees. I'll just leave it at that so I can allow others to contribute.
Okay.
Thanks.
Dr. Oloyede, can we have your comment?
Okay, good evening. Well, the last speaker seemed to have taken off some of those points I want to say. I'm saying that apart from promotion and the issue of increment in salary, the compensation is holistic. It doesn't have to be promotion alone. What about other initiatives that are not even that will not be involve cost much? We talk about recognition, even the one that include some less cost, like reward, something like bonuses. They have done well, no promotion, but there should be something to show that their effort was recognized. If not, they get discouraged and they get frustrated and they may be thinking of leaving. But at the end of the year or whatever, so and so, we recognize them, whether plaque and some other things. Everybody also know that they have done well, but because there's no headroom for promotion, they won't recognize. Are you getting me? They'll be, in fact, some people don't even want promotion at that, they want recognition because they are star players. And there are different names you can call them. I just said I should add that. The other bit was what the last speaker has said, so there's no point repeating that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Oloyede. Typically, I don't call people who are not identifiable. ITI phone. Do you know yourself? I will give you a waiver for today.
Yeah, thank you so much. So basically the point I want to make is when we're talking about remuneration, we need to also understand from the management perspective. If an employee is requesting for a salary increase and all of that, you need to let them know, am I making enough? As like now HR, we're talking about the role of a business partner. Are we making enough money to afford a salary increase for employees right now? So that's why I'll tie back to what the previous speaker said. It's really important to communicate to employees. They need to know the financial position of the company at every point in time, so that they'll manage their expectations. You cannot ask for what you don't have. And that brings us back to the other points people made. It's not just salary increase or promotion. You cannot promote everybody at the same time. If the company can afford a salary increase, then you can pick up 1 or 2 people, but then your appraisal system needs to be, the framework needs to be it should clearly spelled out what are the basis for promotion and all of that. So, but then again, if you can't afford those things, there are other things you can afford. HR is no longer about the amount of money you spend. There are initiatives that are free. You can do recognition and give people certificates. You can clap for people and all of that. But we need to also look at what are all those other cost-effective initiatives we can push out to employees. So then, when I'm requesting for salary increase, please be, as HR, you need to be able to communicate to the employees. Can we afford this now? And if your company can afford it, so why are you not giving it to them? Even if it's not a 10%, it could be a 1%, it could be a 2%, whatever it is, but let them understand the financial capacity of the organization at each point. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I will call on Adesua. After that, we'll go back to our facilitator. I just have a small joke. I hope your company is not a company that believes in we don't add shishi. Okay, Adesua, please, you have the floor.
Hello, good afternoon.
You are muted. Adesua, I suspect you are calling from Canada.
Hello, good
afternoon.
Can you hear me?
In Nigeria, we're at night.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, so I just want to, I can hear your voice. I'm coming in as a life coach here, a business life coach. We as human resource people, we always forget the human part of ourselves. I can hear in her voice that she's getting frustrated and it's getting overwhelming. This organization, as she says, is a big organization. So she should understand, she knows about communication, but she should also understand, she should be able, as a professional human being, as a professional in human resource, to separate her feelings of, can I be the one to solve this problem? Because I think, and I know, she gets to hear a lot of people, she gets to see people telling her, promotion, that's what they always say, increase, and she can actually relate to how they feel. But as our other facilitators have been saying, communication is key. Well, she should put herself in a very emotional vantage point that she should be able to say, you know what, I can't deal with this. This is no more within my purview. And she should be able to calm down, relax, and accept the situation. And also encourage others. If she cannot encourage herself and realize that this is it, then she'll have a problem and she's not going to be able to translate that feeling of confidence or encouragement to the other colleagues or the people she's to serve. Human resource business partners, yes, we all are. We can give her ideas and all, but this is endemic, this is everywhere. Not all organizations, big or small, can increase or give you remunerations or salaries. We can continue empowering her and giving her a lot of information. But presently, I think she should be able to separate that idea that it's not within her purview. There's a management board. And if this organization is the organization that doesn't increase salaries or gives compensation to people, she should be able to absorb it and relate it in confidence, in a realistic manner to people. This is the reality. And she should be able to, calm down. Don't think she shouldn't think that she has to solve that problem. And let the people know that it's not within her. And at the same time, she should be able to let this board, the management, or the owners of the organization know this is the feedback. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adesua. So that I can fulfill certain requirements, I'll call Aliyu. Aliyu, you are my brother. Make it 2 minutes or less, please. Aliyu, please. Please. Now go deep.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. The perspective I want to come in is this. I've been faced with this challenge before when I came from Kano to Lagos. Because I was actually facing a very large number of employees, So what is expected here, first of all, is that, as an HR, the employees believe that you can solve their problems, as well as the organization believe that you can also protect their own interests from the side of the employees. So at a time like this, what I would say, because I've listened to all the contributors, they mentioned the reward and recognition, which is very, very paramount at this point. Because the situations we are right now, The only thing I think that solution you can provide is that whatever you want to do, tie the reward to performance. Because at this point in time, every organization is struggling. First of all, communication is very vital. Then tie reward to performance. That is just the thing I want to add to it. Just know that you are in between. You are satisfied the business owner, you are also satisfy the employees. So what you just need to do is keep preaching reward and recognition and ensure that it's tied to performance. So that is the only area I want to come in.
Thank you so much, Ali. If you have any compelling thoughts, please share it in the Zoom chat. We appreciate our feedback and our eagerness to contribute. We do not take it for granted. Now we'll go back to our facilitator who will be rounding up and closing out. We want to close out in the next few minutes today. Thank you so much. Over to you, Kehinde, as you give your closing comments and your wrap up. Thank you.
Okay, just to give my 2 cents to what has been discussed. I think we need to, as HR, we need to understand that we can't meet all the needs of the employees. And it's not within our capacity. If you have not been given the go-ahead to do it, you cannot on your own. So I think what used to give us problem as HR is when we want to impress employees, we want them to feel that this is we have a good HR here. So for me, people will keep asking for salary reviews, for promotions. And the question I used to ask is that, okay, because people complain that I'm not able to move from the level I am to the next. And if we are working directly with the head of your function and you desire to move, is it that you want to, you want to kill your boss, or you are doing something to, to wish on the man or the woman to leave? You understand? So other things that can be added are what we have all, mentioned, to say what are other little things within our purview, that within our control, that we can do, so that people can still be happy, why they stay expectant. And if we have good structures in place, if you have good structures in place where we have a performance management system, like Ali spoke now, tying reward to performance. Back then in my workplace, we annually, at the end of the year, they just give out a value, a certain amount that is being reviewed annually. And when our CEO came on board in 2020, he said, no, people can't just be, there's no freebies anywhere. You can't just be giving out money without tying it to something. Then we started tying it to performance. Then we have our the production guys every quarter, based on the savings that they are able to make, they earn a certain incentive, rather than wait till the end of the year where a certain amount of money is given to them. And you see people working to ensure that they meet their target every quarter. So when we don't tie performance to reward to performance, then we have these issues on our hand, or where the company does not have a line where we draw the line to say within certain period within the year. My organization is a unionized one, and we have our junior workforce, that their salary reviews is being determined by the National Joint Industrial Court, NJIC, annually. And we have had a situation where we reviewed, I think, Yemi, I told you this situation there, where we reviewed salaries because people were agitating. And the business, okay, because of the inflation and things are very expensive, let's give them a review. And then we had a 5 days where they down too, because the question is, you should have given us this much. Why did they give us this X amount of money? So if we don't have a line of action, or things are not, in an organized manner, then we have a lot of issues in our hand. So to conclude this night, whatever way we view events or happenings around the workplace now, let us know and bear in our mind that we can't stop people from leaving the organization, just like people willingly join us. And then we can't stop the reshufflement, the reprioritization, and a lot of things that people are beginning to see values, and then a lot of people are moving. It is often said that people don't leave organizations, they leave bad managers, or they leave bad management or wrong work practices. So if our organizations must remain a great place to work, then there are things that we must be doing rightly in order to keep them. And we know that the markets where we source for talent now is really, really very engaging today, where people have choices. Back then is when people don't have choice. A lot of people have choices now. People choose where they want to work. They research into your company, and when they feel that, no, this is not a place that I want, they don't take your job. They turn down on job. I've seen people taking offer and they write back to us to say, no, sorry. So what do we need to do? We need to begin to identify these new sources, optimizing job design, resetting our total reward strategy, delivering a more robust career, giving people a total experience. And then in return for this investment, we see that our businesses become a great place to work. And then there's great, return on investment because we are growing the bottom line. Now, it may take months to replace staff, and a smaller business, that gap can significantly impact revenue. It is for this reason that investing in retention is very crucial. Employers should be making changes, and we stand as HR to advise. We have different caps that we are wearing as HR. Sometimes we wear cap as lawyers. Sometimes we wear our cap. We wear our pastoral cap where you're advising. Sometimes you play the people's advocates. Sometimes you speak for the business, especially when you monitor how the business is going. I think it's Adeswa also that mentioned the other time that talks about understanding where the business stands. So from that perspective, you're able to engage positively. You're able to communicate rightly, not over-promising what you know that you cannot deliver. So we must be able to advise employers, making sure that making changes to support the employees that we already have as key parts of a successful long-term resourcing strategy. People is key. No matter how much, robots, we think robots will replace, but it's still people that will put those robots in place. It's still people that will set the instructions in place that the robots will take on from. So you can't rule out people entirely from the workplace. There are things, yes, that we can outsource, but there are specific areas like managing people that you can't entirely outsource. And businesses can look inward to assess how they can enhance their workforce. And that's our work as HR, and help to reduce attraction rates. Every time that we lose a salesperson, I pity my CCO, because I know that there's a lot of work, a lot of strategy that they are built in place. And then especially when you are losing them to competitors, it comes back every time to say, HR, it's you guys. And I say, okay, how is it our problem? So we must ensure that we upskill people, we reskill them, so that they can become good weapons that HR can use to retain. And at the end of the day, create an environment where personal development will be at the core, and will be a business culture where we are looking at the entire workforce and we are saying, how can we make it a better place? How do we ensure that people are happy coming to work? Retention should be at the back of our mind. Every time that we are going back to the drawing board, every time that we are starting with, with getting in new hires in the workplace, we must think of the end, have the end in mind, have the end in view. Am I bringing in somebody that will stay? Do I have the capacity, or what am I going to do to ensure that this hand that I'm bringing in, I'm not going to be losing out? And I'm sure when we do this, we will be happy, employers will be happy, the employees also, we are also employees. Together we can create a robust work environment that delivers its results in good time, and with the people who are the main resources of the workplace. And on this note, I would say a very big thank you for for listening and for having me this evening.
Thank you, Kehinde Olugbemi. I can say for a fact that you have really impacted, you have contributed. One thing every stakeholder here today can attest to is the fact that you are passionate. You spoke from your heart. I want to, on behalf of all of us, mentorship, and all of us that joined this call today, and those who will watch the video on YouTube, thank you so much, Kehinde.
You're welcome, Yemi. Thank you for having me.